times that I feel really guilty.
Okay.
Ken's growing discomfort in his relationship with Gypsy has become hard to ignore. In a live discussion, he revealed his regret about the timing of their pregnancy, expressing that waiting until after Gypsy's divorce would have been wiser. His concerns, however, extend beyond timing. They reflect a deeper unease about the lack of stability and preparedness for such a significant change.
Just because, I know there's been a lot of change for him. Like I told him, I don't want him to stay because of the baby. I want him to want this relationship to work.
This sentiment highlights Ken's struggle with a situation that feels increasingly out of his control. Adding to the tension is Gypsy's persistent focus on her public persona. Her decision to share intimate aspects of their lives, including moments that should remain private, has only deepened the divide. For Ken, what should be opportunities for healing and connection are overshadowed by the spectacle of constant public exposure.
That she had gotten through this divorce process before this happened.
I'm labeled a loose woman, a hoe. I've already seen comments online of people saying that it should have been a condition of my parole to get my tubes tied.
Therapy sessions, instead of offering solace, become another stage for Gypsy to shape her narrative, leaving Ken's feelings sidelined. The imbalance in their relationship is further emphasized by Gypsy's approach to parenting. While she claims to share responsibilities with Ken, her constant engagement with social media paints a different picture. Her efforts to defend her actions online and seek validation seem to take precedence over the demanding duties of raising a child. This leaves Ken to shoulder most of the responsibilities, likely fueling his growing resentment. Gypsy's insistence on keeping their lives so public not only strains their relationship, but also creates a trap for Ken, who feels torn between staying for his child and escaping the chaos.
First part of that is, or the first part to your question is, as far as the internet goes, we do stay off of it too, for the most part. Or it's changed a lot over the last few months. I think in the beginning, I did want to go and read comments a lot, and a part of me wanted to be defensive and, think that I could just clear the air and just set records straight, but that's just not really how the internet works.
As Ken grapples with these challenges, Gypsy appears more focused on preserving her image than addressing the cracks in their family dynamic. Her actions reveal a troubling pattern, one where public perception takes priority over the well-being of her partner and child. This behavior not only jeopardizes her growth as a mother, but also places an undue burden on those closest to her. Despite the mounting challenges, Ken's frustration seems to be balanced by a sense of duty.
Wanted to make him feel like he is stuck with me. That is not what I want. I'm like, I want you to be with me because you are happy in this relationship. You want this relationship. Just because we have a child together does not mean you're obligated to stay with me.
Both as a father and a partner. His commitment to their child appears unwavering, even as the cracks in his relationship with Gypsy grow deeper. However, this dedication doesn't erase the emotional toll of feeling unheard and unsupported. For Ken, the constant cycle of public drama and private strain has likely become exhausting, leaving him questioning how much more he can endure. Gypsy, meanwhile, seems caught in a web of her own making. Her desire to control the narrative and prove herself to the world often comes at the expense of those closest to her.
There are times that I feel really guilty.
Okay.
The pressures of maintaining a public image, defending her decisions, and addressing criticism online have created a chaotic environment that leaves little room for genuine connection. This dynamic raises an important question. Is Gypsy truly unaware of the damage her actions cause, or is she simply unwilling to confront the reality of her situation? Friends and family might play a pivotal role in this unfolding story. It's possible that outside perspectives could help Gypsy and Ken see the bigger picture and encourage them to reevaluate their priorities. However, it remains to be seen whether Gypsy is open to receiving such input, or if her defensiveness will continue to act as a barrier to meaningful change. Ken, on the other hand, may find solace and guidance from those who can offer him a clearer path forward, whether that means repairing the relationship or stepping away for his own well-being. The impact of their struggles on their child cannot be overlooked.
Just because, I know there's been a lot of change for him. Like I told him, I don't want him to stay because of the baby. I want him to want this relationship to work.
Children thrive in environments of stability, love, and consistency, qualities that seem increasingly absent in Ken and Gypsy's tumultuous world. As parents, they must recognize that their actions today will shape their child's future. The longer they allow conflict and public scrutiny to dominate their lives, the greater the risk of long-term emotional consequences for their child. This adds another layer of urgency to the need for change. Yet, change is only possible if both parties are willing to put in the effort.
I wish that she had gotten through this divorce process before this happened.
I'm labeled a loose woman, a hoe. I've already seen comments online of people saying that it should have been a condition of my parole to get my tubes tied.
For Gypsy, this might mean stepping away from the spotlight and focusing on the relationships that matter most. For Ken, it could involve setting clearer boundaries and expressing his needs more assertively. Both will need to prioritize open communication, mutual respect, and a shared commitment to their child's well-being if they hope to rebuild their fractured bond. As their story continues to unfold, viewers are left wondering if Ken and Gypsy can find a way to break free from the patterns that are tearing them apart. Will Gypsy finally recognize the importance of prioritizing her family over her public image? Will Ken be able to express his frustrations in a way that leads to real change? Or will the weight of their challenges ultimately prove too much for them to overcome? Only time will tell how this complex and emotionally charged.
First part of that is, or the first part to your question is, as far as the internet goes, we do stay off of it too, for the most part. Or it's changed a lot over the last few months. I think in the beginning, I did want to go and read comments a lot, and a part of me wanted to be defensive and, think that I could just clear the air and just set records straight, but that's just not really how the internet works.
Situation will resolve. The ripple effects of Ken and Gypsy's strained relationship extend far beyond their immediate dynamic. Their increasingly public disputes, amplified by Gypsy's online presence, not only expose their personal lives to scrutiny, but also create a toxic environment for problem solving. Social media, which Gypsy often uses as a tool to control her narrative, has turned into a double-edged sword. While it offers her a platform to defend herself and seek validation, it also magnifies their struggles, making reconciliation all the more difficult. The court of public opinion becomes another obstacle they must navigate, with both supporters and critics weighing in on their every move. For Ken, the pressure of living under this microscope adds another layer of complexity to an already fragile situation. While he appears reluctant to engage in public disputes, his silence often speaks volumes, leaving viewers to interpret his emotions based on his actions, or lack thereof.
I wanted to make him feel like he is stuck with me. That is not what I want. I'm like, I want you to be with me because you are happy in this relationship, you want this relationship. Just because we have a child together does not mean you're obligated to stay with me.
His stoic demeanor may be a coping mechanism, a way to maintain some semblance of control amidst the chaos, but it also raises questions about how much longer he can endure this life. Gypsy's fixation on maintaining her image also raises concerns about her ability to fully embrace the responsibilities of motherhood. Her frequent online activity, whether to defend her choices or engage with her audience, seems to take precedence over more immediate needs at home. This pattern not only places an unfair burden on Ken, but also risks creating a disconnect between Gypsy and her child.
There are times that I feel really guilty. Okay.
Children need consistent care and attention, and as Ken increasingly takes on the lion's share of parenting duties, it's clear that this imbalance is taking its toll on both parents. The lack of balance extends to their emotional needs as well. Ken's frustrations are palpable, yet it's unclear whether he feels safe expressing them openly. Gypsy's tendency to prioritize her narrative may leave little room for Ken's voice, creating a dynamic where his feelings are minimized or dismissed. This emotional neglect could lead to resentment, further deepening the divide between them. In a healthy relationship, both partners must feel seen and heard, something that seems increasingly absent in their lives. The toll this dynamic is taking on their child is perhaps the most heartbreaking aspect of their story.
Just because, I know there's been a lot of change for him. Like I told him, I don't want him to stay because of the baby. I want him to want this relationship to work.
Growing up in an environment marked by conflict, instability, and public scrutiny can have lasting effects on a child's emotional development. Ken and Gypsy's inability to shield their family from these challenges not only jeopardizes their own well-being, but also risks setting a troubling precedent for their child. If they are unable to create a stable and nurturing environment, their child may grow up bearing the emotional scars of their parents' unresolved issues. Friends, family, and even professionals could play a pivotal role in helping Ken and Gypsy navigate this turbulent time.
That she had gotten through this divorce process before this happened.
I'm labeled a loose woman, a hoe. I've already seen comments online of people saying that it should have been a condition of my parole to get my tubes tied.
A neutral third party, such as a therapist, might provide the tools they need to communicate more effectively and rebuild trust. However, the success of any intervention depends on their willingness to prioritize their family over their personal agendas. For Gypsy, this might mean stepping back from social media and focusing on her role as a mother and partner. For Ken, it could involve finding ways to articulate his needs and boundaries without fear of backlash. Despite the challenges, there is still a glimmer of hope. Every relationship goes through trials, and with effort and genuine commitment, it's possible to overcome even the most difficult obstacles.
First part of that is, or the first part to your question is, as far as the internet goes, we do stay off of it too, for the most part, or it's changed a lot over the last few months. I think in the beginning, I did want to go and read comments a lot, and a part of me wanted to be defensive and, think that I could just clear the air and just set records straight, but that's just not really how the internet works.
However, the path forward will require both Ken and Gypsy to take a hard look at their actions and make meaningful changes. They must ask themselves, are they willing to sacrifice public validation for private growth? Can they set aside their differences for the sake of their child? Or will their inability to find common ground ultimately tear them apart? As we watch this story continue to unfold, one thing is certain: the choices they make now will shape not only their future, but also the life of their child. It's a reminder that at the heart of every headline and social media post, there are real people with real emotions and lives on the line. In the meantime, we want to hear your thoughts. Do you believe there's hope for Ken and Gypsy to turn things around, or is their relationship beyond repair? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe to stay updated on this and other stories.